Hi, everybody. Welcome to the IC Topic Chat. We are live in front of a studio audience. It appears here in Washington, D.C. This is Laura Keene. My co-presenter and I did a morning session from 9 until 12:30. And so that's why we're meeting an hour later than normal. We're meeting at 1 o'clock. Today, we're going to do this special 45-minute session starting an hour later than normal about the 5.5 ideas from the consulting for evaluators workshops. So we're doing two of them. We're doing the same thing twice, one in the morning, and again, we'll do another one in the afternoon. And so we're joined by a couple of the people from this morning and the people who are attending the session. And basically, I have about 6 slides, and then we're just going to create this as an open conversation about these things, and then we'll let it go. As usual, when you join our sessions, feel free to post something about yourself in the chat. Sadly, our folks who are live here can't type in it unless they want to get online and do it themselves. But feel free to do that, and then use the private chat function so that you can connect with one another. That's a wonderful resource for everybody. For anybody who's new, for any of our folks who are here, I've said it probably before, but I'll repeat myself. We meet every Thursday at 11 Central or noon Eastern. We do it probably 48 weeks of the year. We talk about everything, anything independent consulting. And so we try and keep the presentation part to a short period, but we do try and create opportunities for conversation. And we don't always know what we're going to talk about. It usually goes in all various directions. And when I don't know what to ask and if there's a lull in the conversation, Kurt Stuke becomes my Ed McMahon. I get to ask him whatever questions I feel like. And so, Kurt, big appreciation to you, and also big appreciation to Emily Johnson, who's here with us, who's back in the home office in Edwardsville, Illinois, recording. So let's get into it. Today, we talked about a lot of things. The first thing we talked about was Moxie. So Moxie is a survey that everybody who does the workshops gets access to. In the longer workshops, we actually have people give them time to sit down and complete the survey. Anybody who's interested in it, and Emily, if you could remind me, we'll put it out with the presentation when we put out the video later. It's a 3-page questionnaire about, am I ready to become an independent consultant? So you need to have some level of Moxie or sort of that inner will to want to do this, because there's going to be stumbles along the way. You're going to fail. People aren't going to return your phone calls. You're going to feel that challenge. And so you need to have that kind of wherewithal to keep going. Looks like, are you guys watching my got it? Here, I'm going to got it here. There we go. So you need to have that Moxie to keep going. The survey that you can complete is a reflective tool. So I encourage everyone, particularly if you're just thinking about starting independent consulting, to go through it, think about it. You don't have to score all the high points to prove to yourself that you're ready to do this. It's just a good opportunity to think about what it's going to take to do the whole thing. All right, second slide. What's that? I don't know. Is it niche or is it niche? There's a lot of debate out there. I've decided if you're over the age of 45, it's niche. If you're under the age of 45, it's niche. But anyway, one way or another, you should be thinking through the idea of what's your niche, particularly around that idea of the hedgehog concept. I pulled the wrong graphic, but the graphic generally is the overlapping circles where you should be thinking about things that you're good at, that you enjoy, that where there's an opportunity, where there's funding, or there's people who there's a need for your activities, and hypothetically you can get paid for it, and it's something that the world needs. You want to focus on the overlap of those 4 circles. That's incorporating the Ikigai concept. And if you continue to focus on that and continue to go back, I often use the reference. I think most people on the call and today, people heard me talk about the idea of the Ferris wheel. If you grab onto that Ferris wheel and you start moving it a little bit, you keep pulling and you keep pulling, literally the Ferris wheel will start to go faster and faster. The next thing you know, the Ferris wheel will be spinning on its own. And the Ferris wheel is a symbol for how well your business is doing, however you want to use the metrics. But the point is the speed of the Ferris wheel is how well your business is doing but your Ferris wheel is going to stop spinning if you get distracted and go to things that are outside of your niche. So the niche is the focus of your energy towards the Ferris wheel spinning. All right, next thing. Everybody here, you heard all this before, right? It sounds familiar. All right. Today we presented the business plan, and as one of the core topics a couple months ago, we also talked about the use of the business plan. The business plan is something that I developed as a Microsoft Word template that you can use however you want to. Frankly, it's also a bit of a journaling exercise. It should be hypothetically a place where it's your business Bible, something particularly when you're starting off. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How much is it going to cost? How am I going to talk to friends? Who is my competition? How do I decide to leave this thing? All these things you can put in your contract templates, your MOU templates, but it's there for you. Emily, remind me, I'll also make sure that that's attached to the email that goes out to everybody. All right. Does this look like a familiar graphic to you, Laura Keene? This is hers. So I completely stole it from her. Marketing is, from my perspective, there's a lot of conversation about how to do this, but from my perspective, if anybody asks me my opinion, I suggest you get out there and talk to people. If you have a choice between writing a LinkedIn newsletter or going to see your clients, go to see your clients, okay? Because it's the human connection that creates the opportunities for new projects. Next 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, anyway, I'll be back in Washington, D.C. to be with the NOIS project directors. And I'll be giving a session, not unlike the one I gave today, but it'll be about, pitfalls of being involved with a NOIS program, the National Science Foundation. And that's really marketing on top of the fact that it's an opportunity to connect with my clients and learn more about how the NSF program is working. But it's marketing because I'm standing in front of people saying, hey, I know a thing or two about evaluation. My clients appreciate it because they know I'm an expert, but also my potential future clients could be there, maybe, or not. But the point is, I'm putting myself out there. You gotta put yourself out there in human ways. Calculate your fees. We had a snafu today. Our HDMI cable literally snapped in the middle of the session. And Laura talked me off the edge where I was about to start screaming at the computer. It was not pretty. I was definitely having a meltdown point. But we ended up doing it. But the point is in calculating your fees. This is a graphic, which is the idea of a carpenter coming in, looking at a squeaky stair and kind of pushing around, taking out a nail, hammering it in, and then presenting you with a bill with 25 cents for the nail, but $60 for knowing where to place the nail. This is an example for you. You should know that you have value because you know a thing or two about the things that you're doing, program evaluation, about the community that you're working in, about literally geographic community, or perhaps the community of people who are receiving these types of grants and projects. Stephanie and Dodia, right? You know a lot about Dodia. I was just talking to Kurt Stuke about how you're from San Antonio. So we're going to make sure you guys get connected offline. The fact that you guys are connected through Dodia and San Antonio is a wonderful thing. Back on fees and value. So you guys have a value, just the fact that you know probably similar people, but you've never met. So I'm going to connect you. We showed the calculator that's on the Excel spreadsheet, except the Excel spreadsheet died on us because the computer died. But we talked about the fact is you need to understand what your fees are, represent those. And then my approach is to calculate the number of hours that we think it's going to take to do a project, and then convert the client into an idea of a value-based billing idea where if we think it's going to cost $15,000 a year, we don't only invoice based upon the actual hours, but we invoice on the amount of effort or the amount that we've calculated per year of $15,000 or $3,750 per quarter. But you need to start with understanding your costs and understanding what your billing rate is and being able to justify that with a potential client. But frankly, and if you guys know me, this is a Jeffrey Gitomer idea. He always has a half idea or a half goal or a half suggestion. my half suggestion, my fifth and a half suggestion is you just got to get started. You got to get out there. You got to make mistakes. You're not going to learn how to do these things until you're out there. Laura presented her story about doing all her business planning and thinking and retreats. And then her brother says to her, so have you talked to anybody? Right. So anyway, the point is you aren't going to learn how to do these things until you're just out there talking to people, learning what's happening. Part of getting started, how do you get started? I often ask our co-hosts or our guest hosts, how would you get started if you had to do it all over again? If you were starting right now and you had zero like contacts, but you have mad skills, how do you go about doing that? And we have a variety of answers. Some people say just don't do it because you're not ready. Gail said that, by the way. Gail, our predecessor who did these pre-conference workshops forever. The answer oftentimes is if you want to get started, you need to find those communities of practice that are going to be related to what you want to work in. Within the independent consulting, TIG, ICTIG, there are just about everybody's going to return your phone call. They're going to take the virtual coffee chat to talk with you. They'll give you suggestions. And why are they doing that? You could potentially be competition with them. Why would they want to help you as a competition? Because frankly, most of us know it's not about competition, it's about collaboration. There are going to be times where you might win a project out over me, but more times than not, if I know you exist, I know how to connect with you when we want to go together on a project. And so there's a lot of subcontracting that happens within the TIG, and getting to know people and putting yourself out there is a great idea and a great strategy. Other ways to get started, find those communities within your literal community of wherever you work. Those communities, oftentimes for me, Grant Professionals Association. My partner who's joining us today is probably in the Forest Park, St. Louis Visitor Center. She meets with people every Thursday and she works from there, or she works on the road. And frankly, she gets a chance to connect with all those folks. But there's countless ways to do it. I think the Grant Professionals Association is great. Go to their annual conference, because the Grant Professionals Association, those people are always looking for evaluators. And the other strategy is to put yourself out there, present something about how to do an evaluation plan. We should all know a little bit about that, or how you would connect with people. I literally reached out to the Grant Professionals Association and said, can I do a pre-conference workshop? This was very brass ballsy of me to do it, but to say, I want to do a pre-conference workshop. You can charge for it. I don't want any of the money. Just give me an opportunity to talk in front of everybody about how to do program evaluation for grant writing. What a grant writer should know about program evaluation. And they gave me a bunch of free stuff, which was great. And it gave me a chance to stand in front of people and tell everybody I was an expert. And so I've since connected with some of those St. Louis-based grant professionals, and it was a neat opportunity for me. And actually, I invited 2 colleagues to come along with me and help me out with it. We had a standing room only kind of session. So they're out there. There's lots of communities like that. All right, that is my presentation. I'm going to close it down now, and we'll go to the chat function. Emily, do you want to go ahead and stop the recording? So everybody in YouTube land, I'll see you guys later.